Just let me know when we press. Sorry.
Oh, we just went live. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Coffee Cat Presents Rebirth, a D&D Tale. Last we left off, a couple of weeks ago, our party of adventurers, the Lucky Sevens, had found themselves amongst a clan of druids made up of humanoids and merfolk that were a sister tribe, in a way, to that of Kinwin's Silverwolf. And upon upon sort of mingling with them for brief, there is some things that are going on with them that they would obviously like to keep secret. They do not want outsiders necessarily to know of their location, as they protect a certain realm under the water. Something very important that they have more or less not given you much in the way of details about, but have made it their solemn duty to do this. And so, while they have been relatively hospitable, they don't interact with you unless they have to. And generally speaking, they're standoffish and very cagey, except with Kinwin. Even Alira, you having a bit of a commonality in that you as well are a druid. They're still very much keeps you at arm's length, as they're not familiar with the way in which you practice the arts of nature that you do, nor does your appearance actually give them any sort of peace. The drow have never been seen on the surface world, and thus they have no idea what you could potentially be. You look elfish, but very different. So, that is where the Lucky Sevens currently stand. So, with Vanya, Alira, and Lagon, and Kinwin being the only members of the party who came down to this particular tribe, what is it that you would like to do next?
Well, I'd have to imagine at this point it's best we end up being off. With what's going on in the Empire, it's been difficult to end up finding leads. Though now we're mobile enough to be able to end up finding the source, much as I'm disdained for going up in the skyboat. Not surprised, given the unwelcoming atmosphere of the locals. Druidic tribes, I've always been taught, were very insular. I just wasn't aware that there was a formal difference between those above the surface and those below. A fascinating development, though disappointing. So, I think it would be for the best to end up making a trying to end up pulling on threads that might unravel our own little mysteries. Don't feel like I'm going to be getting much out of here, loath as I am to admit it. Just me and my mentor again, I guess. Still, with walking with dragons and giants and the pale folk. How bad can it really be?
Vanya, on.
I think it's about time we head out as well. Starting to miss the fresher air, the light, get out of this cave, and I'll be a lot happier. And Zephyr's probably bored out of his mind.
Yes, you're probably right. Zephyr stayed aboard the ship to keep company. And yes, the air down here is somewhat manufactured in a way that air pockets are sort of created down here in order for humanoids and merfolk to be able to have some kind of livability. But it is, in a sense, a sunken city. And the mechanisms by which they do not want to share. And Kinwin has come to you and said that he would like to stay because there is something that he can do to help them in their protecting of this thing, whatever it is down here. But he's being a little cagey about the details, much like them.
Well, that's what he wishes. I'm not going to argue. Yeah, we'll miss him.
Rogan would give his little woodland friend a big hug and wish him well. You have no cargo for us. I think we should be about our mission.
I will also do what I can to find out more. If they know more, then I'll send word. But right now, I think they need me here.
Every little bit we learn is more than we knew before. You do what you must. If you need us, you know how to be in touch.
He gives you a nod.
I think with that we will make our way back to ship.
Okay. And I believe it was polymorph and wild shape that got you guys down here initially. So Kidwin will offer what he was able to do in regards to polymorphing one of you, and then the others will also be free to do that. So there's no issues going back up the way you came, as the spell does last long enough for you to get back to the surface, or at least get back to a point where you can then swim to the surface of the cave and exit out into the boat, which is where Kaz currently is. So Kaz, what have you been doing this whole time, since there was only really the ability to get four of them to swim under the water?
Currently, I've been doing a lot of that as of late. Trying to put these disparate pieces of gruesome jigsaw puzzle together. Make sure that the world that I've been reintroduced to, that's a quite recently doesn't implode on itself. I think, with the distinct exception of Alira, although then not necessarily, given her sheltered upbringing. I think I would have been the only one that was really has been around in the right kind of way to hear the stories of the legends of what lays chained beneath our world. The desire that would really, really keep it there. As such, it's been a mixture of that and talking with Arya in depth.
And entertaining
Talks.
Zephyr.
And entertaining Zephyr. That isn't exceptionally difficult, however, he is a... Arya and I have been having discussion. Deep discussions that we should have had the first moments we came across our shared heritage in that sense. In the volcano. It's difficult to find the words. Even more so to be an unwitting anachronism in that sense. Something she and I get, I suppose. But it's been that and waiting the Fourth to return in whatever state they return.
It isn't terribly long, as the little sort of little boat that is more of a go to land sort of a thing does come back with only 3 of the 4 individuals who had entered the cave the airship now sits parked on the water outside of. And they load themselves back onto the boat, and you're free to do and go where you please next.
So, how was your journey to the depths?
Wish I could say it was more eventful, but
When Lagan
Really?
gets onto the deck, sorry.
no, go ahead.
When Lagan gets onto the deck, he's gonna shake like a big shaggy dog, flinging water everywhere.
Hmm. Apt, I suppose. So, what's next?
Well, Kinlan decided to stay behind, stay down there and help him out, and we just have to decide where to go next.
Right. So we need to make those decisions then. And Cards would walk over and kind of because he's been working on this for a little while, he kind of pulls down a chart of kind of what it is that they know. We have a couple of different points that we could investigate. You know, we want to make sure that first and foremost, we have a world left. So, the undead cult followings haven't really gotten us. We've found them multiple times. We found them linked a little bit to, and he makes a gesture to basically what he's got set up with the aberrant, like basically the little diagram he's got setting up with the aberrant soldiers and the Griddle Empire. There's a slight linkage here. And we both know that in one way or another, they're after freeing, and he would gesture to that little diagram he's got set up for the binds that hold the World Eater. Additionally, we know that the undead cult are after reviving a god, and the Empire are creating new soldiers to replace their lack of religion and divinity with something else using remnants of the Calamity. I'll leave that little thought for later. I'm not going to interrupt the flow. We've chased this. And he gestures to the undead cult. And whilst we've learned some things, I don't think we're going to get any further chasing that particular lead any further, at least for right now, right? So my thought is, he gestures to the Empire. The Empire should be our next stop. We need to see how deep this goes. We need to discover what they're doing and, or rather how they're doing it, and stop them. Additionally, we also need to keep in mind, and he gestures to a third little note, and it's just the label of Caleb. We also need to keep this one in mind. And what it is that he's doing, given that he now has a artifact of considerable power now in his possession. That about sums everything up as to what we know, where we should go. Thoughts? Queries? Discussions? Death threats?
Artifact of power? What artifact of power?
He took something off of Cypher when he escaped.
I would assume if it belongs to that man, it's probably something powerful, given that he was able to, just teleport places.
Yeah.
I missed that conversation, unfortunately. I do believe our next stop called Casper. But before we get going, I have questions.
Well, only one way to get them answered.
Being as that religion is outlawed entirely, And Lagan gestures to himself. What are we going to do about me?
Hide your symbols. Act as some sort of
As painful as that is.
yeah. Act as some sort of arcane sorcerer or something.
Because my shield is just one huge symbol of Melora.
That's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
You found it.
My hammer, my shield. I believe the only thing that is not visible anymore is the symbol that he wears around his neck, because that's under the armor.
You found them, you took them off from another cleric, something.
Yeah.
Because remember,
But
I found my bow in that one temple.
You basically you scavenged the gear from you exercising justice. You
But
figured it was
my
of good make, and that you would take it along with you.
Right, but my question is just them being in my possession enough for trouble?
Vanya, you would know that that would cause trouble in the Empire, because religious symbols of all kinds, whether you worship or not, are outlawed, since you are the one person who has lived in the Empire.
Yeah, unfortunately, they would still be an issue. Which,
My thought was that Vanya and Emerald were the main consultants for this.
Yeah.
my bow is pretty easy enough. I can just wrap it and hide that stuff away. But the hammer and the shield.
Yeah, the shield being a very large symbol of Melora, and the hammer essentially being a weapon of cord, they're going to be very hard to find.
The
Coverings for.
Warhammer is also a huge symbol for Melora as well.
Cord and Melora, you know, kind of a joint for everything, but yes.
How to go about hiding those, though?
Is either that or we go incognito.
The only other suggestion I have is that we make a quick stop along the Antimanting Reef and see if we could potentially find a replacement that I solely while on the your home turf.
We can see what we can dig out. Probably our
But
best shot.
if needs be, I can just switch to. Oh, you know, I still have that sword and crossbow things I found from Alira's peoples.
You do.
I can use those while we're there.
Yes, because they are the crossbow, as you call it, is more of an arcane shooter than it is an actual crossbow. But yes.
I'm so glad we get to end up appreciating this little bit of cultural exchange.
I very much enjoyed seeing them in action. I just had no need to do so till now.
Well, now you get to use them.
For the purposes of the crossbow, just treat it like a hand crossbow, as far as your proficiency.
Just its damage ends up being magical in nature.
Yeah, it's force damage instead of piercing.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out what equipment I should be looking at for. I know I have it written down, and my brain is.
Yeah, as far as changing out to that weapon, yeah, it would be, you would be able to fire 20 shots before it needs to recharge, and a recharge is a long rest.
Right.
But essentially, for proficiency's sake, it fires like a hand crossbow, and uses force damage instead of piercing damage for shots.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Eventually, I might just leave my one bow up on ship and take my old one with me. Less work.
It is still in the bag, should you want.
I think that might be a good idea.
Okay. And the swords that we picked up?
I believe we discussed that they were short swords.
Right.
So,
They were short swords.
yep. For the purposes of proficiency.
Okay. That's all I was wanting to know.
Yep.
Thank you. So, as we're having this discussion, Lagan reaches into his pocket and pulls out the book that he's been using. Would this become issue for...
What book is it? Is it Celine's?
It's the Book of Exalted Deeds.
That one has a red cover with a flaming skull with 2 eyes on the front of it.
And a huge clasp on the side to lock it.
Yes. And it's a symbol of Ouija, so yes, it would be considered a religious symbol on the front.
I suppose the question becomes, though, would they recognize such? That religion's been dead for over 100 years. Ish.
But there may be some there that still remember.
Hessen's a country of elves, after all.
They have very long memories.
I wouldn't risk it.
Well, until that becomes an issue, I will just keep it in my pocket. I'm sure if we get into a fight, it will quickly become apparent whether or not I am or not.
Alright. If you want to.
Want and need.
Subterfuge, guile, mistrust, scoping about in an enemy here, infested here, castle. I almost feel like home.
For as vast as it is, this one is undeniable.
Undeniably what?
Small.
Given that it's only taken you a couple of days to cross the ocean.
Flying versus land or sea travel is much faster.
Yeah, sea travel, we have all those different routes. Air travel, we more or less can just go straight across.
Yes, we can generally ignore the places we would avoid by traveling sea, because they will generally not bother or affect us.
I mean, let's not talk about how I would sea travel. He's a monk. He can literally just run across the ocean. So long as it's as far as that there's land between him and like where he starts, and
As long as he doesn't run out of stamina, you know.
a day. Well, it's a day's worth of sprinting.
Mm-hmm.
There are places that your footsteps atop water attract some creature that would, if you are crossing the paths that we typically avoid, make you food.
Wings are good for that.
There's a reason there are huge portions of the ocean and seas that I don't know them all, and the ones I do know, the ones I have seen and met, are reason enough to attempt to avoid those spots. The damage to the ship would be enough alone that repairs would be quickly become prohibitive. So,
So I believe that's on the itinerary, is to get flying again and head over to Colcaster in the Greenland Empire, capital city on the very tip of the Empire coast. The travel, based on the map that you have, going from the location that you are to Colcaster directly, would be about a 24-hour trip. Beelining it, it's strange to look at the map and realize that going from one point to the next is really kind of just a quick day trip away, where the going by sea and the sea routes takes weeks to get across the ocean. It's amazing how small the world feels once you've got a way to just skip over all of that. So, with that being your next port of call, anything that you're planning to do in that 24-hour period? Who's piloting, by the way, for the 3 shifts that would need to go on?
I'll go because
Okay, so
because I'm not trusting any of these others to end up flying it. It's already a boat in the air. That's uncomfortable enough.
so you'll take 1 shift?
No.
Anyone else
I
taking
will.
a shift? Okay.
Vanya would.
Okay. So Vanya and Alira and Lagon are each taking an 8-hour shift. Alright. Yeah, because it's only several hundred miles from where you currently are. Oops. To get there, yeah. So, with Colcaster being the capital city, there is a great deal of there is a airship port that you are able to dock your ship, and there's kind of these little sort of they kind of look like small boats themselves, except they fly in the air as well, to guide you in to where you would land. The ship is powered down for that, and you are now amongst probably one of the largest cities that you have ever seen. It is miles and miles across when it comes to the city, and as you kind of float down towards it, you're seeing a lot of really beautiful sort of architectural masterpieces. You're seeing a lot of sort of gleaming sort of structures and statues and things that you really don't see anywhere else in the world. And so Colcaster is definitely a very, very beautiful city. just getting us here. So, what's next? As you get off of the ship, what do you plan to do?
Find some place to stay, I suppose.
Well, given what I need to end up wearing, first thing I'm looking for is an appropriate cloak to end up hiding, because I'm going to be at the cause of a lot of questions.
Indeed. Indeed.
I'm sure we have a prop somewhere. At least just a basic one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have plenty of, but basic cloaks. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, Ember would probably stay on the ship.
He would insist on getting off, actually, because he also wants to start doing his own investigation, but he is going to take one of those cloaks and sort of get along that way in trying to investigate. And to kind of give you a little bit of perspective when it comes to the city. The city is kind of built on the top of a hill, and there's this sort of sheer cliff that kind of goes into the ocean from the top of the Capitol Tower, called Paragon Tower, that just kind of drops off and is a sheer cliff on that side that drops directly into the water. And it kind of looks the airship port that you fly into kind of it's kind of on the outskirts of the city, so you would to get into the city, like more of the city proper, you would be going up the hill in order to get into it. But the airship port is inside the gates of the city, and so there's no sort of entrance checkpoints aside from the airship port itself. And once you disembark, it will be, some guards that are going to be there who are going to, more or less check you over, make sure that any contraband is seized, if there is any, aboard the ship and and on your persons. Which is, to Vanya, you would know this to be pretty standard fare when it comes to visitors to the country in general. Everything goes through Colcaster.
And she certainly will have given everyone else a heads up about that.
Mm-hmm. But it's
Spot back here.
indeed, because you do see that there are, statues of people from the past of the Green Empire. Most notably is Emperor Lythel, the current ruler of the Green Empire, along with smaller statues of other people of note, like Miss Lavista, like other members of the Imperial Council, like historical figures. There's a lot of commemoration of individual people in the city, rather than to gods like you're traditionally used to seeing.
Cars doesn't voice this outright,
Hmm.
but internally his monologue goes along the lines of, we have multiple people who are very religious at the party. I hope I don't hear the words heathen or heretic out of either of them. he is concerned. Frankly, under the circumstances, rightfully so.
Right?
But you...
Internally. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that you kind of sit on the ship waiting to disembark, kind of in the center of the city, more or less. So, how do you prepare to venture forth from your protection?
Internally, Lagan is sweating whether or not they determine his armor to be what his armor is. I don't believe we have any other anything on our ship or on our persons that can be seen visibly that would point to that. But yes, Lagan is inwardly still, even with as much, very nervous about religion being outlawed.
Yeah, and Vanya would have already switched back to her bow too and made sure it was in proper working order.
Mm-hmm. Selter and Cypher seem to be a little less apprehensive. They're disembarking about as quickly as Imbril does. Imbril's not too far behind them, kind of already donned a cloak, and has kind of done what he can to disguise himself a little bit, but it's not really all that much, because Vanya, you can tell it is Imbril, but whether or not he's listed as a wanted person in the city, you have no way of knowing at the moment.
Which I suppose I'll be finding that out later. Especially once my name gets out.
Selter and Cypher do indicate you know how to get a hold of me should you require my assistance on something, but there are things I need to investigate for myself.
Completely understandable on circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that you want what was taken from you back.
Yes, and I intend to acquire it back personally.
We'll let you know if we set out to leave.
I don't think you should have to worry about that.
And, Cypher, was it?
Or Professor, whichever you prefer.
It's clear he's made himself too much of a nuisance to be kept alive. Please make sure to double tap.
Caleb? Oh, I
Yeah.
intend on being merciless, should I find him.
Good.
With that being said, I shall disembark and leave you to investigate what it is that you're going to look into, while I do my own certain thing. Selter, let's go.
Safe travels. You two know how to get in touch with us, should the need arise.
And Selter just kind of pipes up and gives you a big, kind of toothy, sort of dragon-like kobold grin, and says, "Oh, you know it, honey." And just kind of saunters off.
Take care of each other.
You don't need to worry your little head none. And both of them kind of disembark and get checked out by the guards at the port.
She says, "Don't worry your little head." Lagan puts his hands to his head. It's not that little.
It's okay. You've always been top heavy in my mind.
that woman disturbs. We should pass through border inspection. Let's go. And the guard just makes his way because he knows he's not gonna have any issues. He doesn't have any holy symbols or anything.
Okay.
He's got a couple of monastic symbols, but they're not of any like religions.
No, yeah. And once you kind of clarify that it's more of a a symbol of your sort of order, where it's an organizational symbol and not a religious one, they seem to recognize that at the very least.
Yeah, Vanya's gonna be the next to make her way off because she doesn't have anything religious on her anymore.
All right, and so there's no need for you two to deceive anyone.
I imagine at this point the big guy and the drow kind of look at each other. Shoot for it.
Vanya will, however, give Alira bardic inspiration before she leaves.
A little flourish of the voice, and you are granted inspiration, Alira.
Okay. I guess I'll go through. Nothing to see here.
So what exactly are you hiding? 'Cause you don't really have much in the way of a religious symbol, more or less. You're just a very strange-looking individual.
Well, that and the stick with the severed head taped to it.
Yeah,
or,
that might
to it.
that might cause some questions. So yeah, go ahead and roll me a deception check versus their insight.
Okay.
And inspiration is a d6, by the way.
It is a d6. Okay. Deception.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is a 7 altogether.
Well, they rolled a 4, so you succeed.
Yeah! I suck, but you suck worse. Yeah!
You seem to have. So the way that this conversation kind of goes along is that they're asking you questions about your staff and your clothing and everything about you as a person. You're very shy in the way that you present it, so maybe that tips them off a little bit more than you would like. But upon inspecting everything for, contraband of any kind, the staff itself doesn't come back as an issue. The clothing you wear doesn't come back as an issue. You just look rather strange in the way that you dress and present yourself, and it's not enough to tip them in a negative manner, but they're more,
I
more
imagine
curious
that there's
than anything.
like too many questions to be able to end up actually getting to anything that might be illegal.
Yes.
It's just like, why? Are those pieces of animal carcass attached to? Are they interweaved with your hair? Is your hair literally serving as a harness? Why would you?
Yes.
What kind of elf are you?
It piques their curiosity more than anything, but they do not find anything of any kind of ill repute on your person, according to their laws.
It's you're fucking weird, but you're free to go.
Yeah, exactly. You're just a strange-looking elf to them. And now we have Lagan.
And nothing else.
Yeah.
Who is currently wearing the Deathwalker's ward.
That is the only thing that Lagan is wearing.
Any religious? Okay.
Everything else is in the back folding.
Okay. So, roll me your deception check, and it'll be versus their religion check.
Deception, you say?
Yes.
Oh, this one, right? Actually, that will go very well.
Ooh.
Natural 20
Oh,
or a 20.
okay. Yep, that's Mojo
Wait,
dice for you
minus
guys.
1, that's a 19. Actually, minus 1, that's a 19.
Yes. Yes, Lagan does not have very much in the way of charisma, but
Mm.
maybe this particular guard doesn't have much in the way of an education on the outlawed religions, because what you're wearing doesn't seem to strike them as strange. It's strange in a religious way. It strikes them as strange because you have a tuft of feathers. You are a Goliath. And to their knowledge, Goliaths wear mostly the kilts that you're used to seeing with the Goliaths and things. That usually there's this sort of long, sort of also sash that goes across the waist. You're not wearing that right now, so that's what comes up
Just
as
underneath.
strange. Well,
Oh, that's all underneath. I'd have to take the armor off for that to be seen.
yeah. But they don't see your Goliaths, plaids and family colors and things, or your family symbols. They just see this very black leather and sort of half plate armor that you're currently wearing, and it looks rather strange to them, but it doesn't seem to trigger any kind of illegal contraband sort of lights going off in their brains. They just look at you all and think that you all are fucking weird.
I mean, mine might make sense.
This might make sense.
Obviously, like, yeah, they at first glance of it, then, they see the symbols of a monastic order and everything. It's like, oh, he's a monk. Right. The getup kind of makes sense now. Little weird on the colors, but
Probably relatively normal one.
yeah, Bun is the really normal one, and then of course you have Alira, who is not really goofy in garb, just goofy in general.
She's the shy one.
I resemble that remark.
Yes, you do.
But with all of you, and we'll roll for Emerald real quick, and the guards against him. Well, looks like he passes through with no issues too. So you all disembark from the airship with no issues on anyone at all. There might be, the occasional side glances, but nobody at the sort of airship port is stopping you in your tracks for any reason.
Lagan is a bit paranoid at this point, so Lagan is on high alert, keeping eyes on everybody that might be watching them or trying to follow them.
Okay. Go ahead and make a perception check.
Okay.
I'd like to give him a hand with this, mainly because I'm not paranoid, but I'm paying attention to everything.
Okay.
Obviously, we're here to investigate, so observation is a must.
Yes, then Lagan can roll at advantage, or he can roll separately.
If you want to roll for yourself, you can roll for yourself. I don't need to roll at advantage.
Alright, I'll roll for myself.
Okay. Then
Yeah.
Cos will go ahead and make a
I'd
roll.
like to make that roll as well.
Okay.
For me, that's going to be a 27.
27. All right.
Mine's a 25.
Ooh, nice.
23.
Does Alira want in on that perception too?
Sure.
We got some very high wisdom characters in this lineup today, so. And what was Alira's roll?
I think he was just looking for his modifier.
Yeah.
Ah.
The whole thing is very, very slow for me right now.
Yeah. Roll 20 be
oh.
like that.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
Or actually, perception. That is a 24.
24. Very
Hell
nice.
yeah!
24 to 27. Okay, so you all are on pretty well. You have your head on a swivel, and maybe part of that attracts some of the attention that you're getting. But you're observing the people around you as you're disembarking from the airship. You're seeing a lot of travelers. A lot of people have a lot of gear on them, in particular when it comes to their own sort of traveling needs. Perhaps most of them don't have an airship of their own. They travel with other groups, and so they have a lot of, you see a lot of people carrying, backpacks and luggage and other sundry things, but none of them really pique any kind of, like, they have any particular interest in you beyond the fact that you look strange. You're something unusual to see on their travels, as you're a band of varying different kinds of individuals, because mostly what you see as far as people around here is human and elf, and not really much else. To see a Goliath, to see a Dragonborn, is an unusual sight, and those are the kinds of looks that you, Lagon, and Kaz are getting, and Alira too, to an extent, but Vanya doesn't seem to attract any real looks at all. She looks like she fits in with any of the travels here, except that she doesn't have any luggage on her. That probably the strangest thing that you all probably would notice is that you all don't necessarily have a whole lot in the way of luggage. You're traveling on your own, and that perhaps your ship is where all of your gear and things are stored. But that's what you attract as far as getting through the airship port. Getting out of the airship port, what you pass by several other guards who are, also kind of making sure that that things are done in an orderly fashion. They're not necessarily armed, but they definitely have the symbols of the Grioran Empire on their armor, that they're meant to kind of keep things going in an orderly fashion. Kind of passengers going in and out of checkpoints and things like that. And once you are outside the airship port, what opens up to you is the rest of the city. Going up and down the hill, it's gleaming sort of white stone structures. The Paragon Tower sort of at the very top of the hill. The rest of the city is opened up to you, including what the transportation, what signage you see is called a light rail. And when you kind of look at there, because it's also attached to the airship port, and kind of passes by the seaports, you see that it is metal boxes kind of rolling along on wheels on a track. And they seem to be powered with magic. It's something that you have never seen before. This is unique.
Welcome to Coldcaster.
You were gonna say something, Mojo? Because you're muted.
Lagan looks at Vanya and points at the light rail. What is that?
It's called the light rail. Another mode of transportation throughout the city. Never been on it myself.
You know, it does also go outside the city into the greater countryside, up through Holton, and you think Shatahar.
Light rail?
Mm-hmm.
Vanya, make me a history check.
Thank you. Oh, yay. 16.
You would know that it was developed by the Emperor's company, and that its primary function is passenger travel along the countryside. It kind of hugs the coast of the whole sort of continent on this side, and was developed probably and completed within the last 50 years or so. But you've never ridden it that far to Shatahar, but rumor has it does go at a lightning sort of speed.
You might like to ride it one day, Lagan. Considering how
Indeed.
fast it is.
Where walking can take hours to get across the city, going from one port on the light rail to the next only takes minutes.
I suppose the real question is, where do we start?
I am relying on Vanya for this. I am completely out of my depth.
Yeah, I have to say it's been a very long time since I've been in a lodge.
Well, let's see if we can find ourselves an inn and go from there.
Probably the most notable one that you would know is the largest tumbled wench that you have ever seen.
Tumbled Wench is as good a place as any.
Yeah?
I mean, hosting travelers and adventurers since for a long time.
But I have never been allowed off ship when we visit any of the ports.
I wonder why.
Maybe you should ask Captain Batcher.
I have to make note of that. But she'll start leading them to the temple bridge.
Okay. You kind of walk through the sort of light gray brick paths that kind of line the streets of this entire city. There's maybe it kind of is something that Alira notices more than the rest of you, but the city is very open. There's not a whole lot in the way of nature as far as grass or trees or much in the way of really anything that resembles natural life in this city, really, at least in this part of it, because all of what you see is very tall buildings and very, very regimented sort of brick paths that have people on horses, that are on foot, that are on carriages of all kinds, and the just traveling the streets in this particular portion of town, it's so busy with so many people that it feels like you're in a cave, but you're not. It's like It's like you can see the sky poking through some of the buildings of this city, but they're all so very tall that it almost kind of shuts the sun out.
And yet it feels like very odd. I don't know why. Well, I can take a few guesses, but there's something surreal about this place. Looking up the buildings, almost as though they were great crags. Looking at the streets as though water has carved through stone. And then this light rail overhead. Never seen anything like it in all my years. More a wonderment than anything. I want to climb up and end up seen from the top of the towers. I thought it was breathtaking when we were coming in, but now to be sitting here or standing here at the streets to see the enormity of it all. Curious what the surface dwellers do. A marvel, really. And yet, for all the movement I see, it feels lifeless. Strange contradiction. Much as many things on the surface are, I imagine.
There are streets that are wide, there are streets that are narrow, but every one of them sort of filled to the brim with people moving. People moving here and there and everywhere. Going to the seaports, going to the airship port, going to the light rail, going to this building or that building. It's a lot. A lot of people in one place. And when you travel the streets and you find the signage, the familiar signage of the Tumbled Wench, of the big sign with the woman with the big poofy hair and the tumbling of the drink in her hand, painted in vivid color, sort of tawny skin, blonde hair, a blue dress. The building itself looks like it goes up for what seems like hundreds of feet, but really it's about 12 stories tall. And when you enter in through the door, there's a desk on the one side with the very traditional, the very uniform that you see on the signage. The woman who is greeting you has her hair pulled up and poofy, the blue dress, the sort of a tag that says the Tumbled Wench on her shirt, and she happily greets you. How many rooms?
Maybe two per room.
Yes, that sounds fine.
Yes, 2 rooms.
2 rooms, all right. We have plenty. And what about your furry friend?
Is he able to stay with me, or?
Oh yes, we're friendly to smaller animals like a dog. If you brought horses, they will need to be stabled.
We only have him.
All right. Just understand that there is an extra charge as far as animal cleanup after the fact.
Any chance you're looking for a performer that we can take off a little bit of that charge?
I'm sorry. You're welcome to perform, but we don't offer discounts for that.
Worth a shot. How much is it gonna be?
And she tells you it's 20 gold per room. Which sounds expensive compared to where other places you've stayed.
Yeah. But I'm sure we can do it.
So what brings you to Colcaster? She says, striking up conversation as she's starting the paperwork.
Decided to visit home.
Oh, welcome home.
Introduce my friends to my hometown.
Well, I hope you have a very pleasant stay.
I'm sure we will. Probably stay here for a little bit, then head across country.
So where in the Empire are you from?
Hazelmire. Between the mountains and what's it?
Oh, so
East
you've
side
come a
village.
long way.
Longer than most. Been around the world at this point.
Well, it's fantastic that you have chosen to stay at the Tumbled Wench. She finishes up the bit of paperwork and takes the 40 gold from you, and then issues you a couple of keys. The rooms that she issues you are next to each other because, why not? It seems like the most appropriate thing if you're coming in as a party. And tells you that you can simply take the lift. It's on the 3rd floor, number 301 and 302.
Excellent. Thank you.
Will it just be for one night?
How long are we looking to stay, guys?
Can't say any longer than a week at the very most.
Yeah.
Would you like to pay up front, or would you like to pay per night?
I think we'll pay up front.
Upfront would be the best.
Front?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Then that would be 7 days
280.
times 40. Be 280 gold.
And Vanya will hand it over.
And she will give you the keys, tells you that the checkout time is noon on the 7th day, and that if you check out late, there will be an additional service charge.
Alright. I'll keep that in mind.
All right. And so you are pointed towards the lift, which she directs you is past the looks like there's this dining room area that looks like it's maybe like part of a restaurant. It's got a bar. It's got food and drink on the one side. The other side of the area from that is more of a sort of like a sitting room. It's got lots of chairs and tables and couches and just places to sit and enjoy entertainment on a stage. There is a band who is currently playing some rather sort of mellow music. It's not really anything sort of lively, as it is more or less kind of midday at the moment. But the lift is on that end as well. There's also stairs that you can take to get up to the room as well if you want to use stairs. But it looks like this lift is kind of a magical one, where you call it down and it comes down on its own. And then you select the floor you want to go to and it lifts you up on its own. There's no mechanism that you have to drive in order to make this thing work. The door opens up to the 3rd floor, There is the hallways that seem to have this really nice sort of carpet, and 301 and 302 are at the very end of the hall.
Close to the lift or the far end of the lift?
At the far end of the lift.
Okay.
And
That was relatively simple.
once you enter the rooms, there are 2 beds in each one, and very large windows with big curtains but very simple in the way of decor. There's a like a simple chest to put your belongings in. The beds are made with simple sheets and pillows, but otherwise look comfortable.
I imagine Lyra, the first thing she does when she enters the room is close the curtains. Gives herself a little bit of a respite from all this walking, especially
In the daylight.
during the day.
But you have made it to the tumbled wench.
Is there an adjoining door for the rooms, inside the rooms?
No, there is not.
Okay.
It is not a suite. It is just 2 separate rooms. So, what's next?
I have no unpacking to do, so...
Suppose we just meet up in one of the rooms.
Okay.
That's our plans from there.
Alright. You're welcome to do that.
I
Zephyr-
would assume whichever room is in, for her comfort.
Yeah.
Okay. Zephyr seems to already have claimed one of the beds and is kind of hunkered down and started maybe to snooze a little bit. Taking a nap.
Huh. Where do you guys think we should start?
The city is so enormous, I would have no idea where to start.
My sentiments exactly.
What do we know of this city? Is there something larger than a city?
This is the capital city. It's certainly going to be quite larger.
It feels even bigger than Diamond City, really.
Certainly taller.
They seem to have divorced themselves from nature and gone with these monstrosities.
He kind of quirks an eyebrow at that statement, which is ironic given she's a druid.
Well, if we ever have a chance to make it across country, providing we can get through this safely, I can guarantee you it's not like that where I'm from. We do have more open skies. Coalcaster is just a creature of its own. So.
And Vanya, you would know, as long as you've been around Lagan, this is the most uncomfortable he's felt. And it's more than just the outlaw of religion.
So what would Vanya be able to tell them about the city?
Well, what is it that you, as a player, would want to know? Because there's plenty to tell, but how much of it's going to be relevant to you, well, that's for you to decide.
Well, do you guys have any questions about that?
Sounds. I guess.
We're also overwhelmed by the size of the city.
Look, for all the wisdom I have, Vanya, I think something that people forget, and that I need to remind you of, is I am a man who punches things. Sometimes I kick them, but primarily I punch them. It's it's as good a plan as any.
I know of this place makes me uncomfortable. What I see of this place makes me even more uncomfortable. I am completely out of my depth. Anything you could share would be of benefit.
Well, let's start from the top and start with the Emperor.
So the Emperor.
Since he seems to be part of the focus of our investigation.
Yeah. So make me a history check. Let's see how much you know about Emperor Rythel.
16.
You would know he came to power probably a little over 100 years ago. That he is also the owner of Paracon Arcane Power Company. That is the predominant source of power in the entirety of the country when it comes to light sources, when it comes to the light rail, when it comes to energy in general. His company is at the center of it all. That that is how he made his business. He was a business owner long before he was made emperor, and his business took off and really started to solidify itself in the country of Colcaster 100 years ago, when magic was at such a chaotic point that it needed a stabilizing factor, and that's how he's made his wealth. The entirety of the city is an indication of just how wealthy this country is. It has the gold to spend on all sorts of different new technologies, new magical sort of innovations, and even so far as like soldiers like Imbrel be able to fund the kinds of military projects that they're doing. And the power company is primarily the overarching sort of business for the military as well. A lot of them answer to the emperor himself when it comes to the hierarchy of the military as far as the military projects go. He's rumored to be somewhere around 350, 400 years old. And but he really hit his stride with the taking off of magical power as a business model, with the fall of essentially Weejas disappearing and all of magic in Mesotopia being ground to a halt. He took full advantage of that. And that is what is most commonly known about Emperor Rythel. You're muted.
Sorry. Do I know any rumors about him having anything to do with the Shadowheart Empire?
Rumors with him about the Shadowheart Empire.
Considering that it is rumored that the Light Realm goes out. Like,
You would know from a common perspective that relationships with other countries have been relatively friendly. That there hasn't been a war, so to speak, in the region probably for as long as you can remember. Probably even beyond that. That isn't to say that there's, potentially room for disagreements, but it seems that these disagreements have always been resolved in a mutually beneficial manner, from what you know about the Grioran Empire, its industries, and the greater world as a whole. Most countries seem to think that the Grioran Empire is a friend to have.
Anything I can tell him about the council?
The council,
Especially going toward Madame Lavista.
the council itself is made up of Emperor Rythel, Madame Lavista, and one other person. The owner of... let me actually look up my notes here. One moment as I look at my notes. Actually, it's made up of 5 individuals. Emperor Rythel, Madame Lavista, Counselor Kelfer of Metal Sword and Forge Metalworks, Counselor Loris Kaimora of Wishbone Arcane Goods, and Counselor Reese Yelkarin of the Tumbled Wench Taverns Incorporated. But 5 members of the council sort of make up the ruling body of the country, and are all sort of respected in a similar fashion, where Emperor Rythel is kind of a tiebreaker in a way when it comes to decisions made on the country's behalf. One thing that the city and the country itself is known for primarily is just flowers everywhere. And you would know that surrounding the city, leading up to it, underground travel is just what seems like oceans of flowers when you travel to the city by road.
There's the basics of it.
So which would you feel would be most inclined to this new development in the Empire itself? Given its propensity and new military operations, I would think Sword and Forge would be the first place to look, but look within that, but...
Well, Vanya would have also explained that the military answers to the Emperor.
Yeah.
No, well, not like we can just go up and ask him for an audience and force him to tell all truths. Behold.
No, we would have to get in on a council meeting, or at the very least a noble event where they would all be present. A ball, a gala, something of that.
Yeah, and last time we did that, it kind of went south on us, in a sense.
How so?
Also, unless I'm disguised, I would not recommend I be present for such an event.
We've
How
told you
so?
about the events of Kombe, haven't we, Kaz?
Oh right, the
Yeah,
kaiju,
that.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that. That was all on the same night.
Ew!
And wound up fighting Imberol and Madame La Vista to get Rune back.
Yeah, days before that.
As they
Mine.
had taken him.
I feel confused. I feel like I missed something.
They're talking about
I don't know, just talking about Kombe and
Yeah.
basically filling it on the fact that everything with Lord Kaiji and the entire gala thing happened all in a single night.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh.
Yeah. The gala up to that fight with Kaiji.
Okay.
May I speak plainly for a moment?
No one ever told you you couldn't.
He looks squarely at Vanya and Lagarde, not Alira, because Alira's not part of what he's about to say. You suck at keeping yourselves out of trouble. Like, really suck. Like,
And yet you're still
whirlpool
trying to
vacuum
suck.
to the bottom of the ocean levels of suck.
It was not our intent of fighting him that night. It just happened.
That doesn't change what I said.
We also weren't intending to fight Madame La Vista or Imberol either, so... It's one huge cluster, and as I said, unless you know of some way for me to be disguised, if you in this position, I should not be present.
I mean, there are. I mean, this is with probably one of the largest arcane goods shops on the entire continent. I would imagine they might have some sort of mask you can wear to disguise yourself.
I mean, we could do what we did in Kombe and use that disguise self score.
Or
Might work, but I'm sure they have means of detecting, at least arcane means of disguise for such things as you're suggesting.
Fair.
I was gonna say you could just pretend you're Mizamaskin and put a mask on, but don't know how well that would fly this far west.
Anything involving
Or east.
I don't think I will have much difficulty getting about. I've already observed several smaller creatures amongst the inhabitants. I believe I can adopt a perfect disguise. In which case, she then uses animal shifting. And what you see there is it's a small four-legged animal, very, very short hair. Looks like it ran its face clear into the side of a wagon, completely compressed. One eye is going up this way, one is going this way, two fangs underneath. The tail is about that long, and its body looks akin to a potato. She has turned herself into a very ugly pug.
Yes, you did. Yes, you will have seen a woman carrying a very ugly dog traveling through the airport. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
That's where you.
If we're going anywhere noble, then yes, you would something that would probably disguise you with.
Meow.
You know,
That is not the sound those make.
apparently, it's the sound that this one makes. I.
Okay.
Kaz is kind of there, clearly having some kind of brain malfunction.
Because you've
and
seen dogs like this, and they don't sound like that.
He's just having a brain malfunction.
Pretend to sleep. You should snore very loudly.
She proceeds to roll onto her side on the chair, partial paw up, flop, head over the edge of the chair, tongue hanging out to the point where it's damn near licking her ear as she ends up proceeding to try and end up emulating the same sound.
Oh, Okay. You know, I have a very easy solution. Because obviously the city is very large. We have to discover a lot of stuff. We're probably going to have to go through multiple channels. I say we divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer how? Where are we starting? How do we start?
So,
And who is with me? Because I promise you, Miss La Vista knows who I am. And even a happenstance meeting, not likely well.
then obviously, divide and conquer, I think the best way to do that is to start investigating with the councilors. We can't get to the Emperor, let's have a look at the council. Each individual member, their corporations, what it is they do, what's going on at the table, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Vanya, you go with Lagan.
Fair.
Phoenix Wonder Prizes would be the starting place for Miss La Vista. That's the corporation she runs.
Right. I can start there. Because she doesn't
Yep.
know who I am.
Of course.
And if that's the case, then I could use that to my advantage, because then we can then recollate it with all the information that you guys already have about her, and see where she kind of pieces together in this, the term I'm looking for. To not put too fine a point on it, conglomeration of fuckery.
I would think, given what I know, and that she was kind of an envoy from the Empire to Kombe for Lord Kaiji, she's fairly high in the council.
Well, that's how we start with their corporation workout.
Alira, are you going with Kaz? Poke the tummy of the little pug that sounds like a cat.
Proceeds to roll off chair and then walks under Kaz's seat.
I mean, you can, but if you feel like you could gather better information on your own, given your diminutive form, then we'll take that too. The more we can divide the work, the better. Because I will be fine on my own. I can...
Where should we begin?
What were the names of the other companies?
There was the Wishbone Arcane Goods, Sword and Forge Metalworks, Phoenix Wonder Prizes, the Tumbled Wench Taverns, their capital, their not just the Tumbled Wench you're at, but their actual like corporate office is also here, and Paragon Arcane Power Company.
I think we should start with Wishbone.
Wishbone?
Mm?
A wish.
And I can start with Madame LaVista's company and get from there.
And you would know that those two companies, while they might seem to associate in different spheres, they are actually competitors for different things. So they do compete for the same market on some goods.
They built the, I mean, they built their own dog fooding economy. But let's be real,
So
they're
should
all in
we-
concert with each other.
Save the power company for last?
Put the pieces together of everything else, and the power company will be everything else fits.
Yeah.
Given that it's under the direct supervision of the Emperor, we do want to then give it our give that investigation our concerted efforts.
Alright.
Well then. Off we go.
All right. Which I think is also a great place for us to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will see how the Lucky Sevens divide and conquer in a city that is the most massive they've ever seen. So be right back, everybody. Alright, welcome back, everyone, to Rebirth, a D&D Tale. Where we had left off, our party of adventurers, the Lucky Sevens, had been deliberating on where to start to find out more about the sort of goings-on that created soldiers like Caleb in the Grioran Empire. Caleb being a special agent of the Grioran Empire's military, and Imbrel, Vanya's brother, also being a member of that group as well. And they want to find out more about the process. What was the reason? What was the intended outcome, and what possibly could become of Imbrel, and more importantly, what Caleb is capable of. And if the Empire has any idea of how to maybe stop it. So, the Lucky Sevens have decided to split the party. Some investigating some of the other corporations of the Grioran Empire, the one of which being Wishbone Arcane Goods, on that list of people to talk to first. They're staying at a Tumbled Wench, so it might not be necessarily very hard to investigate that, but as well the Phoenix Wonder Prizes, which Madame LaVista is the primary owner of. The reason that they want to investigate these companies is because the owners of these companies are members of the Imperial Council. So, Lucky Sevens, what is it that you intend to do now?
Well, we must divide and conquer, as it were. Vanya and Lagan were going to start with
We were
the
gonna start with
Wishbone arcane goods, and I'm going to start with Madame Lavista's company, and
Madam
either
Vista's
Illyra was going to.
company was which one?
Phoenix Wonder Prizes.
Okay, then I guess I will go with Swords and Iron.
The yeah, was Swords and something.
Swords and Iron Forge Works.
Yeah.
Sword and Forge Metalworks.
Sword and Forge Metalworks.
Works.
Right.
There you go.
Sorry, still
It's all good. I
new
understand.
tongue. Who dis?
New tongue. Who dis? Exactly.
Blah, blah,
I
blah,
understand. There's a lot. There's a lot of names and things to go through. I am okay with correcting you on
We're
things.
learning.
Before we get started and split up, Lagan is going to cast sending and send a message to Shay.
Okay. What do you send to Shay?
Hi, Shay. We're in town. Haven't seen you in a while. Thought it might be nice to catch up. We're staying at the Tumbled Winch. Stop by anytime you like, without your mother.
What you receive back is, "Hi, Lagan. Mother has me on a tight leash lately, but I will see about sneaking out one of these nights. Love to see you. Maybe tonight even?" And that's where the message leads off.
She doesn't have our... They don't have our names listed here, so, I will recast. We are staying in room 301 and 302, should you choose to stop by. If you can slip your guards. Vanya would love to see you again. I'm sure Zephyr would too.
Understood. See you all later tonight then. Give them my love.
And then I will tell Vanya and everyone, we may have guests this evening.
Oh? Who?
She misses you both very much. And looking at you and Zephyr.
I should have figured you'd get a hold of Shay. Be nice to see her again.
What do you mean? I've been in contact with her since she left.
I know. I keep forgetting that.
Oh, I see. Because I don't speak the words, you don't know that I talk to her regularly. Got it.
Like, you mention it once in a while and completely forget that you do that.
Somebody keep our friends and allies informed of what's happening.
Hey, now I keep hold with Karthus.
Jalissa, but you know, that's another.
It's a lot of people.
It is.
Father Valentine, all of the people looking at you guys. There's a big list of people, and I kind of have to keep up with Darius because if Granny found out that I let him get hurt, there might be.
Problems.
Technically,
Right.
you didn't let him get hurt. Shit just happened.
No, it happened, but if she didn't think that I was taking care of her as well as I imagine,
Fair enough.
Oh dear. So,
are we ready?
You're
This-
cutting out quite a bit.
me?
No.
Give me a moment.
Oh, okay. So, Vanya. I heard Lagan sending that sending off. I don't know exactly who he's talking to, but mentioned something about them not bringing their mother.
Ah, yes. Shay is the daughter of Madame LaVista. The
Oh,
one we fought in Combe, and the same one you're going to be investigating.
Vanya.
Hmm.
And he leans forward a little bit and places his hands on her shoulders gently. I have just one question to ask you.
Are you sure it's just one at this rate?
It might turn into more, but right now it's just one. And he gets like right up close, like really close. And he's
like
like,
forehead to forehead close.
yeah. Did you not think that telling me that Madame La Vista has a daughter in the city was a good, like, did you not think to mention that?
Why do
A
you
daughter
think I
that
just
you know!
said-
A daughter that knows you! Because it means that if someone catches sight of me in association, my entire, anonymity goes up in flames! Like these flames! And he holds his hand out, his hand's just like radiating fire before he closes it and it disappears. Do you not think to tell me that she has a daughter in the city that you are, like, deeply associated with?
To be
Because yes, I
fair,
get that you
Shay
punched
has
her in the
been-
face in Kobe.
To be fair, Shay has been kind of under lock and key ever since her mother took her back. So.
She still is
Oh, wonderful.
closely guarded and watched. She
Then
said
how the
if
fuck is she meeting up with us tonight?
she can slip her guards, she might. Not she will. She might.
I've really
Again,
trouble with that one.
Right.
Shay and what Shay does better than even us. She can slip. Fortunately,
Yeah.
But
being as
useful.
closely watched as she is, it may become an issue. But as I said, this is why we are telling you now.
Yeah, that's good because it means we have an in. She's going to
Potential.
be our in. She's going to be our in there. She's going to be my in there because she knows you. Madame La Vista knows you. Like gesturing to Viner and Lagan. She doesn't know who I am, which means I can use this I can use this to feed information, deep cut information out, which we can then feed to kind of build a better picture of what's going on.
Don't know how much she knows of her mother's business. It
Well, the
didn't
thing
get
is, when you're kept under lock and key by guards who are trained specifically to not let you out, those guards kind of get to talking.
I didn't get the impression before Madame Levis took Shay her back from Bombay. Shay had a very in-depth knowledge of her mother's business, inner workings, and dealings. That
Now
could
it's
have
more.
changed. It's been many months.
I'm more thinking she could hear things that someone else says and slip in her earshot, because obviously the girl who's kept under lock and key isn't going to say anything. Who is she going to talk to, right? Yeah, but there's no way of knowing that you can talk to her because you're not in that vicinity. I'm going to try and use that to my advantage.
Describe to Kaz the form she was in that she preferred most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that she's not giving any other forms away, but just describing her the form she.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then
If you
keep
see
an eye.
her, be very wary. Madame La Vista keeps guards and watchers on with and around at all times, especially.
I think I can handle that.
Right?
For now, given that she's going to need, Shay would likely have to wait till nightfall. We have time to go investigate. And I think for the time being, I need to identify some of the facilities that they're using, see if I can just pick anything up.
Well, good luck. Good hunting. More or less.
I'll, if I need help, you'll know. And Kaz will make his exit to get on the trail.
All right. Where are the rest of you going?
Vanya and Lagan would probably be heading out to start theirs with the Wishbone.
Okay. And Lyra was going where?
The
Sword
forge.
Sword and Forge?
Yep.
Okay. So, in regards to what it is that y'all want to know about these individual companies, what is the questions that you have? And we'll start with Vanya and Lagan, since they're investigating. What was it?
Wishbone Arcane.
Wishbone Arcane. Okay. What do you want to know about Wishbone Arcane that you're in that is part of your investigation? What do you want to know? Because their headquarters and everything else, anything that's public knowledge would be free and easy to find. That much is available to you, outright. Is there a specific thing that you want to know about the company, or that you want to investigate to see if it ties into what you've learned so far?
Getting into more in depth of essentially what Lagan's wanting out of this is to see how closely related the Wishbone Arcane is with the creation of these new soldiers.
Okay. So
But
what's
that's going to take a bit more time.
Yeah.
I'm assuming than just one day. Um, but that's essentially where Lagon's wanting to go with this, to see how closely into that they are.
Okay. So that's that. Because this investigation can take place over the course of several days. Uh, that isn't a problem. We can say however long it takes for you to find this information and then give it to you. What is Vanya wanting to know? Is it the same things or is it something
Yeah,
different?
it's in along the lines of the same things.
Okay.
See if she can find any connection to the process.
Is that also true for Alira and Sword and Forge? Similar question or something different?
Wait for the bite.
Was Alira wanting to know the connection of Sword and Forge to the creation of the soldiers? What their role is?
You already got you're already in my head. I don't know why I stopped. Why it was that I ended up trying and going through that bite so quick to get into a question you were already ready.
Well, that's the question that Lagon and Vanya are asking about Wishbone.
Yeah.
So,
The other portion I would end up saying is that any ties or frustrations or any in I can end up going to do a little bit more digging inside.
to find what?
Mostly it'd be you're on the inside for any developments or anything like that. Because, well, bluntly, it's kind of one of those. I only have so much information to go off to ask questions, so I'm trying to figure out how to position myself into a method of actually gaining information that might end up allowing me to start asking more appropriate questions.
Okay. So we'll start with the questions that y'all have similarly about the two different companies, and then Kaz was wanting to find a similar answer.
Yeah, Cars was basically going
for Phoenix
trying
Wonder
to
Prices?
do the exactly doing the same thing as Alira.
Okay.
Not only looking for information as connection to the soldiers, but also a way to get in and kind of feed information to then start honing those questions, to start asking the more appropriate things, find kind of digging
Okay.
in and
Yeah. So we'll start there, and so either Vanya or Lagon, you each can roll investigation, or you can roll one of you at advantage, and it'll be the same for Cause roll an investigation and Alira roll investigation. Since you're finding
I'm
out,
assuming it was this.
since this is all basically the same question for 3 different companies.
Do we want to roll at advantage, Mojo, or do you want to?
I'm saying I will assist you this investigation roll.
Okay, I guess I'm rolling at advantage then.
Get down, Felix. Felix, get down.
Cats, the menaces of society.
I love them. I love him so much, but he is a little bit of a pain.
I mean, obviously we saw what Dagger was doing to me the second, came back. Paul, right here. Ooh, that is a nat 20.
Ooh, look at that. Okay. So, I am going to say... I am going to say actually Kaz is going to be able to roll this at advantage because he will have assistance from Shay.
Okay, we'll see what the second one is, but the first one was a natural 20.
Okay. Well, can't get better than that.
Yeah, natural 20.
Okay.
I mean, it's basically a matter of seeing, was it going to be 2?
Okay.
But now that I've said that, all of my luck is about to go out the window and I'm about to get punched in the face repeatedly.
Oh.
Fate's gonna find me in the Alps and just...
You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. The luck has already turned, it just didn't go on you.
So, for Vanya and Lagon, Wishbone Arcane Goods really does what it says on the tin. It is a company that manufactures in kind of large quantities magical items that would be used in everyday uses. Probably the most common that you would see they produce alongside the power company is light sources. So think in the modern era, things like light bulbs. Things that make life just a little bit easier and a little bit more free to do lots of things at night that many other cities, villages, even other towns don't have the freedom to do, when the sunlight goes down. So there's the most common things that you would see would be lights in houses, lights on the streets, various different things of just quality of life, sort of minor magical items. That's their primary focus, and that the tie that they have with the power company is that the power company supplies the power to these things, and then these things then produce the lights that are needed in households and things like that. But as far as their tie to the military, their tie to the military and possibly the special forces that have been created is more of a mundane nature, more of a if there's any kind of supplies coming from them at all, it's things like clothing, things like they don't really do much in the production of like high tier magical items. You're talking about like things that could be done on a massive scale. The company that does do the more sort of larger scale sort of magical items would be Phoenix Wonder Prizes, which Kaz you were investigating. They were the ones who maybe supplied magical weapons of all sorts, maybe magical armor, things of that sort to, and that is their tie to the military operations. And so that's how those two companies are tied together, and this investigation happens over the course of several days that you'll find. And then Alira, what did you get under your investigation? What did Alira get?
Coffee.
Mm-mm.
Coffee.
It's a Derek dice.
What do you think I got?
A natural one.
See, you got good gut instincts.
You paused, and so I was like, "Oh no, did he Derek dice it?"
I knew as soon as he paused, I was like, he rolled a fucking 1, didn't he?
Yep. Natural 1.
Well,
so it was a fun campaign. All. Thank you very much.
That's just the investigation portion.
I have slipped and fallen face first directly into the molten steel right in the forge.
Well, maybe not like that. It's more along the lines of, it does exactly what it says on the tin. Sword and Forge creates all of the base products, like the swords that need magical enchantments, the different things of a metal nature, mundane and for use in the creation of magical items. So it pretty much does what it says on the tin. What more you find out, well, you either don't remember, or there's not enough there that's substantial that would cause you to be concerned. And that's what you all find out over the course of several days.
Coffee. I got it. I got the perfect natural 1. I got the perfect natural 1. When you come back and meet Alira, you see her with the hat and the company shirt and a whole bunch of sample wares that she's giving out in front of the. What happened? I said that I wanted to learn to bring to my people, and they said, here's your wares, here's the hat, here's the shirt, and now she's fangirling over just
Over sword and
completely
sword.
180 it on her.
Oh no, she's become a corporate shell.
And what you would find, each of you, is that there are people who would be sort of demonstrating sometimes in front of these corporate headquarters, because the whatever reasoning they might have, each of them believes that that particular company is doing something that's destroying the planet, that taking all of these resources and basically strip mining out the center of the country has created the desert that's forming in that particular region as well, along with all the dead magic zones. There's a lot of people who think, at least, groups of people who think that each of these corporations has something to do with the fact that the magic in the center of the country, the weave itself, is dying. And these dead magic zones are starting to pop up more and more regularly out in the middle of the desert. There's still a lot of natural life out there, but it's not to the point where you think it's comparable to the desert back near Combe, but it is something that you feel you might keep an eye on, because it's similar-ish circumstances, maybe a different source, and these protesters are trying to get these companies to stop mass producing in the ways that they do, because it's doing something to the environment. A lot of the mining operations for raw goods were kind of out in the middle of nowhere, where no inhabitable places had been going on, and so there's a rapid deterioration going on in the center of the country that Vanya would also be able to fill you in on too. So maybe there is some weight to the words of the protesters, but these companies are on such a massive scale and international that stopping production would halt everything. So, and that's at each of these companies that you visit. So those are the obvious things that even on a natural one, you get that information. And Shay has been able to dodge her mother's gaze, at least for these last few days.
During this time, Lagan would be looking for a disguise kit.
Okay. Disguise kit is easy to find because there are stores upon stores upon stores everywhere.
Okay.
Another thing that you would also notice about the city as you're traveling it is that when there is a distinct difference, much like in Combe, where there is the wealthy in the city and then there is the destitute in the city, and really no gap, no sort of bridge in between, that those who are poorer live closer to the base of the hill, where those who are richer live on top of the hill.
Is there a guard exchange like in Combe where they're charging people for entering and moving through between the two?
Not between the two portions of the city. There, it's like it goes from it's a stark contrast, but there's no wall. But the portions of the city that would be sort of walled off and guarded in that sort of way would be the entrances to the corporate buildings, especially Paragon Tower. Paragon Tower is heavily guarded.
Okay. Well, are the prices like in Kobe as well, or because things are made here, they're a little less?
The manufacturing goes on here, so the price of goods is relatively inexpensive. The reason that they were so expensive in Kobe, you imagine, is because of a lot of the import expense from these other companies that are based here. Getting through the Goyera archipelago is a tricky endeavor on sea.
Just a quick note: if my camera or mic screws up, my network is flipping in and out right.
It's futzing. Okay. No worries. No biggie. But that is what you learn on kind of a surface level. The tie between the three companies, so far as you know, is strictly business. As far as what the military is doing for their special forces, it seems like it might be insular.
Well, that could be a blessing or it could be a curse.
Well, it could be used. Should. There are already protesters everywhere who are less than enthused.
Yeah. Notice that quite a bit.
And Shay will pipe up, but that's been going on forever. I mean, that's nothing new.
Are you aware of the soldiers that create Shay?
I'm aware that there's special military projects going on, but that's about as much as I know.
Special military projects are one thing. Special training for soldiers falls under that foot. Taking aberrant beings or what's left of aberrant beings and using that to make soldiers is entirely
Entirely what?
Entirely another.
Yes. Well, if you're gonna find anything out about that, you might talk to some of the actual people who trained like that. I mean, the primary basis of operations are to the north when it comes to the military training for that sort of thing. And that's in Drakefast.
Okay.
We could light rail there, but
The light rail is so fun.
You never mentioned the light rail before.
I thought... Well, I mean... That's on Vanya, too.
I'm not putting anything directly on you. Just saying, of all the wonders that you described from where you came, that was not one.
Well,
It is,
I mean, I couldn't really describe the light rail. I've never been on it. I only got glimpses coming through Colcaster.
and I guess maybe it was a bit more of a mundane thing to me. Not really a thing of wonder.
I guess when you see it every day, it loses a bit.
I mean, Mother rides the light rail every day.
That's what I was saying. When you see it every day, I'm sure it loses the luster and fascination. For those of us that have never,
Does she?
Very, very regularly.
Tell me more.
Well,
Tell me more.
Well, obviously, she has to be in a lot of different places at a lot of different times, and with us coming back from Combe Bay and then Red Hawk Keep, it's just the fastest way to get around the whole country, really. I mean, she has to oversee a lot of the different operations that are going on when it comes to her own company. I mean, just because she's a member of the council doesn't mean that she's immune to bureaucracy.
does she have private access or does she use public?
Oh, private. Absolutely private.
I'm assuming the only way we'll get her out is to pick her.
Okay. Thank you.
What
Uh-oh.
If you-
Gaz is thinking about something.
do you have business with Mother? I mean, I suppose that's why you're asking all the questions, right?
Yes. We don't know that it's directly tied to your mother. We're trying to rule it out before making any accusations.
Before something like Lord Kaiji happens again.
Exactly.
Mother told me about that. And you've told me about that. In his brief of messages as you've been passing along.
It seems, from our point of view, there might be a connection. We'd like to know more before just blundering into a situation like we did with Lord Kaiji.
Yeah, I just think that intercepting a light rail, perfect. Get her. No guards, no watchers.
There will be guards. Just maybe fewer.
Exactly. Fewer guards means guards we can incapacitate. Make sleep for a little bit. And I do mean sleep, not...
I never know with Dragonborn. A lot of Dragonborn, in my experience, have seemed very violent, so...
Whilst my job is punching and or kicking things, I am a man of temper. Mostly. There are... Like everyone, there are times where temperance is put to the wayside in favor of something baser, such as vengeance.
As far as I know, the only business that Mother had with Lord Kaiji was strictly that business.
Right. I'm assuming she doesn't keep you informed on all of her business dealings or in depth. That's why we're trying to investigate.
Well, out of all of my siblings, I guess I'm the closest thing to an heir. Though I have a lot of siblings.
So if she hasn't, at some point she might bring you in on things. But
That's why she's wanted me to stay home. It's kind of a toss-up between me and my brother, who will command the business after she passes away. Which is a very long time away. But she's making preparations, and I'm not entirely sure why. Not when an elf can live for 1,000 years.
An elf can live for 1,000 years.
But we can still die in various other ways.
And if she's making preparations, she's preparing to do something that would put her life at significant risk.
I mean, you all demonstrated that back in Colby.
Well, I didn't. Those two did.
The necessity.
But you're not above assassinating a political figure when it suits you.
I did not assassinate. I did not attack from the dark or unseen. I was attacked, and then I responded. I would call that defense.
No one's getting assassinated. At
We're
least
trying
not by us.
we're trying to not
What it-
repeat Colby, Shay.
But what it does say to me is that if she's making preparation that then she believes full well that there is to her life. Anyone who is prescient would think that if they are in a position of power such that someone take their own life, that they make the measures when they go think that would increase that risk. I have no reason to suspect that your mother is an idiot. So,
I know she's stern. And I know she doesn't like Ulagon. And I know that she can be hard to deal with at some times, but in her own way, she means well.
I want to see what the truth of that is.
I mean, she didn't have to adopt me.
No, didn't. She did, but again, we are attempting to avoid.
Well, there's also the anniversary ball.
Which will be useful.
Emperor Lythel is celebrating 100 years as emperor.
How soon is this?
In a week.
Okay.
It's the anniversary of his crowning.
Is this invitation only, or
It's by invitation only, but I can manage a +5.
okay?
As the daughter of Madame La Vista, I do have my own privileges here.
I will not be as I appear now.
No, I imagine not.
Yeah. As much as your mother dislikes me,
As much as she dislikes you, I don't think she'd wish you harm.
Lagan just pats Shay on the knee. I think if your mother knew I would issues for not only but anyone known to be associated.
Well, if you feel like you must.
Such individuals being close by forces a particular sense of
Propriety.
tacit decorum that will restrict often what we're attempting to do.
As a member of the council, she probably won't even give us the time of day, so... But nobles from all over the city and all over the country will be there. Including representatives from Mesotopia, I think.
Interesting.
That will be useful, mainly because if we're dealing within a completely outside, if anyone were to try and wipe the board clean, as it were, stage an attack, that would be the perfect place to do it. Bunch of people gathered up all at once. Security, sure, tight, but there's only so much room. There's only so much room for so many people until it becomes stifling to have too many security personnel. So,
I believe there will be security measures to prevent magical interference. At the very least.
yeah, but I mean, that doesn't stop someone from, say, launching themselves in a catapult. I've seen it. Group of people jumped in with the catapult stone, rode the stone, jumped off, raided a castle, cleared the entire thing out. Everyone dead.
Where did this happen?
He would probably give some location closer to the Stormwind Empire,
Mm-hmm.
closer to his homelands.
That's impressive they didn't die on impact.
They trained to use it as a infiltration mechanism. Soft landings, featherfall spell, that sort of thing. Everyone protects against a fireball. No one protects against a dude with a sword who's coming from the sky, being dropped in by a wizard. Or, in this case, by the force of gravity and a big stone. I've half thought about using that as a infiltration method via means of riding an arbalest bolt.
Of course you have.
I have seen
You know, if anyone could, it would be me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And I have seen firsthand those leaping from ships. It's not something that you can necessarily prepare a defense for.
Sure, erect a barrier. Erect 5. Erect 50.
Well,
But
a lot
you
of good
start
magic
limiting-
will do if you're in a dead magic zone.
That's why they train to tuck and roll.
Well, I'm not exactly a guru on the matters of security, so you're probably more trained in that than I am.
I think
But
it.
that being said, if you want to have a private conversation with Mother, those are the two opportunities that you have.
Infiltrate the light rail network. If we want it before a week. And in a week we have the anniversary.
Well, Any that would wish to have conversation with her, I think, would be
Oop, you cut out there.
again, or any that think it best that I not be present.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Which is why, I mean, I would be able to do such an infiltration. Alira, if you would be willing to assist me in such an endeavor. I can get us up there, you riding alongside me, and we could go from there. All we'd have to do is develop a schedule of a place that we already know. From wherever she is to home. So all we have to do is identify what cars are coming into closest terminus to where you live, and we'll have a target. Track the schedule. We'll have a window of opportunity.
The light rail tracks go between the east port and the west port, and sort of go over the obelisk on the cliff, sort of meeting at Paragon Tower. So those are the 3 stops on the light rail that are in town. But then the light rail kind of goes off to the rest of the country. But there's plenty of tracks that go back and forth just between the ports.
If it's a private car, then it's probably a specific car that she's tracking in every.
I can find out which car it is.
If you would, you could feed the information to Lagar. We can go from there to have this conversation.
Just don't hurt her.
I have no desire to. When I say I want to talk, I mean I want to talk.
She'll know it was me.
And we'll make the requisite preparations to make sure that you're protected in the obvious fallout.
I have specifically left myself out of these considerations for you, Shay. That and the known animosities that I have for your mother and hers towards me.
I still don't fully understand that.
I think it started because I had the audacity to tell her when we met. I asked you a question, and how could someone of my such low birth have the audacity to stand up and tell her I was not asking you? And then the further events that unfolded for the time that y'all were there. And the most unfortunate incidents that wound up involving your mother and Lord Kaiji.
Well, I should probably get back. She'll wonder where I was.
Lagan would give Shay a very big hug.
So would Vanya.
Although
Simply out on a midnight stroll, getting a bit of air.
Although she probably wouldn't have known that because I slipped out not looking like me.
Good girl.
Take care of her. And you suspect things. You have some way of sending me message without me seeing first. Fighting the and we can do what we need to rest.
She'll see you all another time. And she leaves the room so that you all could get back to your planning, and she get back home as it is getting late.
Uh, I don't think Shay will ever understand the issues between her and I.
I almost hope she never does.
It's
I hope she never witnesses any of them more further.
highborn versus lowborn, entitlement versus truth.
Yeah.
Tale as old as time.
Yeah, she's in a country not her own and expects her work to be carried as law, and I am not one of her subjects, family members, or in any other way associated with her. And I told her straight I am. I don't take orders. I barely take requests. This is not a ship, and she's not my captain.
Hmm.
So, what next, Lefakis Evans?
What were the other two companies that we were given? Oh wait, Paragon was one, and what was the fourth?
Tumbled winch.
Tumbled Wench.
We don't have to go better.
Paragon's gonna be Paragon's exception. The Emperor's own personal range. The idea is to kind of use negative space to get the picture of where they sit in all of this.
From outward appearance, Wishbone nothing more than supplies for
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the production of magical weapons and armor, but given that is they are the closest thing we looking at this military's research and development division. The scientists and professors and things who create new weapons from nothing, and given that we're looking at an advanced, not necessarily publicly known soldier project, it would make sense that if anyone's been looking into specific weapons and armor that is designed to augment or resonate with these abilities that are being implanted, that they would be the target.
So from what we've gathered, it seems that Phoenix won the prizes is more of the arcane provider military than Wishbone.
Yeah.
As
Oh,
far
yes.
as armor, the forge would be able to provide the armor. It would just take the time for enchantment or whatever they're required further on
Exactly.
after production. So
Forge makes the components. Phoenix won the prizes, magics them up, and Vicious sends them off to the military. So we have their entire weapons and armor supply line stocked, more or less. Starts at one place, starts a sword and forge, mining everything, forging everything, sends it off to Phoenix. Phoenix does all of the magical stuff to it. Probably do some research on the side to better improve the enchantments and things, which were information they'll then share with Sword and Forge in order to make better bases. And then, of course, once they have something, they ship it off to Paragon and the military. So, as such, I want to make that magical enchant. It's why I want to make that magical focus. She either must know something, or as soon as this advanced soldier project gets out to the public, eventually will, she'll look like an idiot.
I don't know that she'll look like an idiot. Something blows up in her face first.
Well, when would be the right time to do? When would be the right time to have that happen?
Is there ever a right time?
There it is if you're a malicious actor.
Either at or right after the right before, during, or right after the
gala.
ball for the.
Exactly.
No.
Where she's a public face in front of everyone.
Right. But what I was saying is, from appearances, Wishbone doesn't appear to be anything more than mundane. That could only be surface. I would suggest that there might be people in Wishbone Arcane as well as Phoenix, one of the prices that are involved in this.
It would make sense if there were those with advanced applications of magics, those who are advanced spellcasters and the like, would have such, or have specific arcane knowledge surrounding that they would craft it into some sort of joint corporate research division or something of the like. Some department that handles all of the specifics of whatever weapons, armor, accessories that these new soldiers are going to end up with, because I get it gives me the distinct impression that with what they're looking to replace, they would need to give them specific weapons and armor and enchantments and things of that nature to complement these things. It wouldn't make sense to shove them into something standard issue. What if something clashes? Magic. Magic is inherently a rather unpredictable thing.
Oh, magic clash. Lagan laughs. Vanya will remember Lagan experimenting with such things. Can have that.
Carls would remember that too. In what was it, Onyx Key?
Hand grenade.
Yeah, the psychic hand grenade.
Mm-hmm.
So Lagan laughing, kind of have Carls nod at him. It's like, you know full well.
Oh, I do. And lots of fun experimentation. See, disastrous consequences may follow.
Yeah.
And that's what we don't want. Not to mention, we already have one of the soldiers who is completely a rogue element.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can make more of those if you would like.
No.
Not
Not
here.
No. I have a special technique for making now. It is safer.
Go
But
on.
I can only make 8. That's my limit. I would also need time and space to experiment to see if something else along those could be created with the stuff that I have on.
My God, he's going into mad scientist.
I am a doctor now. Not know.
You know, it might actually be useful. Let's keep it in the back of our minds, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, but yes, I can. I don't know to what extent because that would be something from coffee, but I have the potential to make 8 more of those things.
Mm.
They are just with the red, not the blue.
I'm pretty sure you said the red ones were a lot more potent than the blue one.
I don't remember. That's why I was saying that would be up to coffee.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what coffee said.
Yep. The
But
red ones are more potent than the blue ones. Yep.
Mm.
I can make 8 of those. I would just need time, space, and somewhere safe to test the aberrant hairs that I removed from Seltzer and Cypher to see if something along those lines could be made.
Okay, we're tossing you in the middle of the ocean. Got it.
You were already out in the middle of the ocean.
I feel like I feel like the aberrant hairs. It's just gonna cause a black hole. That's an out of character
Uh-huh.
point.
We both know. I know not to just hold them and shake them anymore.
At least you learned something from them.
Yeah, it's pop in vial, throw vial at target.
So
Run
for
like hell away from target.
making those safer,
Hits.
small thin vial contains what needs inside. The shaking is produced by throwing. It breaks. Boom.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
But we should probably meet up with Embro.
The
Yeah,
tumble
he's-
benches.
See if he's found anything and see how Cypher is going, because obviously I would imagine they're both looking for Caleb.
The tumble blinch would definitely not be the place for meeting with Imbro.
Mm-mm.
You know how to get in touch with Professor Cypher, and I can send a message to Imbro to see if he has a place at least, or a time and place where we
Yeah.
could meet.
Okay.
Best idea.
So that we can
So
at least
those-
coordinate.
Those will be the next steps, is getting in touch with Cypher and Embro. They're going in respective investigations, because given that we have a massive public event that's by invitation only showing up, we have a rogue element who may or may not be in the city,
Yeah.
who possesses artifacts of considerable power,
Yeah.
and the protesters.
Mm-hmm.
It's just everything lines up far too well for an attack.
Yeah. Probably be a good idea to get hold of Cypher then.
Wisdom,
For all the information.
Wisdom 16 says to me that that this is a bad time for everyone involved.
Well, to some isolated people that are rogue out in this city as
Exactly.
So, coordinating with those that we know are with us
Okay.
would.
So you're getting a hold of Cypher and Emerald.
Yep.
Okay. Where? And you said you want to meet somewhere inconspicuous.
Yep.
Any particular
Yeah,
kind of place in mind?
Ambrose specifically said not a tumbled winch.
because AWOL issues.
Ah, yes.
Right.
'Cause somebody might recognize him there.
Yeah. So we think somewhere semi-public, but more thoroughfare-like.
Okay. So like a
Maybe like a garden where there might be people around, but we might have a spot where we could be secluded and less likely to be.
all right, easy enough to come by, and a park would generally be an easy enough thing to find, as there are a few, especially kind of large, sort of trail walking sort of parks that that people can visit. There's trees and grass and a lot of these same flowers that that the city seems to be known for in the midst of these parks as well. Kind of look like they've been like the landscape has been kept in such a way that they look the most beautiful during their blooming season. And it's the middle of summer here on this side of the world, and so they're in full blossom right now, just brimming with the sort of pollinator life that you would expect kind of out in the wilds. Just less of them, but you get some really beautiful sort of scenery going on at this little park. And there's benches and tables and things like that for people to sit out and just sit and enjoy this little getaway of nature in the midst of the big city. And
I think we would try to find over in the shade for a lira.
yep, and there's plenty of shady spots because there's plenty of trees that in the park at least that that could shade her away from the sunlight. And so yeah, and you say that it said that you want to meet Emerald and Cypher here.
At least
Might as
Emerald.
well.
We
Okay.
can meet them both.
And if we could
Might
meet
as well.
both,
Trade
can
all
meet both,
information all at one time.
it gets all of that information in one place at a time.
Okay. Yep, they'd be
We might get some springboarding.
able to meet you. The professor does arrive a little bit later than Emerald does, but it seems that Emerald might have been in the area already, where Cypher might have been somewhere else in the city. But him and Selter do arrive together.
So,
When we meet with Emerald, Lagan would ask him his take on the political situation and climate in this city, given what we've already seen, and if it kind of matches our measure.
So I guess my question to you is, what is your measure of the city?
Well, with the protesters and everything, it seems to be a powder keg.
Emerald seems to be a little less wary of it, much like Shay, in that he this is something that isn't necessarily new.
Okay.
That the groups of people have maybe gotten a little larger than since he's last been in the city, but the idea of protesters being what they are, that this isn't something unusual to this city.
Okay, so it's not there's not been a huge increase of violence associated with the protest. It's more of a vocal political type thing than
Yeah, it in general, it seems like the city very much frowns upon any kind of violent action, kind of given the sort of culture that you're seeing. You're seeing that that people are more likely to resolve things by trade than they are wanting to resort to any kind of violent action. But since it's been going on for so long, there might always be that fear. But the people of the Grioran Empire typically are very anti-violent, and those who do get violent in the city are treated extremely harshly. When for instance, for murder, it's not just life in prison; it is a life of servitude in prison, or just outright death penalty, depending on what the wishes of those who have been wronged deem necessary.
okay. So they're more apt to just hurl violent words instead of fists and feet.
More likely, yeah, because if you get caught throwing a punch at someone who doesn't deserve it, violent action for the sake of violence, you'll be treated probably as harshly as a heretic would. Because they just disappear.
I see. Okay. That's what I've.
Okay. Before too long, Cypher and Selter will arrive as well, and the whole of your party, more or less, is present.
So, let's go over pretty quickly, right? What we know. There is a less than public project to create a new kind of soldier that fulfills a particular role that would normally be by the clerics and paladin. Given that those are in world terms. As such,
Hello.
they've been experimenting with the remnants of the Calamity from the Sky to do this. Under the circumstances, after a lot of investigation, found that Phoenix Enterprises is the corporation that handles all high-end magical tooling that goes to the military. Given that these people are also military, it would make a lot of sense that they would be on the forefront of research and development for new gear for these augmented individuals. With that in mind, I'm of the belief that Madame La Vista, the proprietor of this corporation knows things about the program that she put on. I want to attempt to get this information, especially since getting this information would be in her, and acting on it would be in our best, not only our best interest, but her best interest. Because,
Salter pipes up. I have a question.
sure,
Why in the world would she ever talk to you?
there are ways of being persuasive.
That doesn't answer my question.
To put not too fine a point on it, we already know there's a rogue element project running around that may or may not be in the city. Yes? The same one that
Uh-huh.
gave
I'm
you a
very
gave-
familiar with that one. Uh-huh.
Simply put, if she knows something, isn't aware of the rogue element, and that rogue element comes up at a point where she's a very publicly facing individual, such as, say, the anniversary ball coming up in a week.
Mm-hmm. You plan to extort her? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I plan on informing her that it's in everyone's best interest to comply.
Extortion.
It's-
Got it.
I wouldn't necessarily call it extortion, because I'm not going to do anything. In fact, that's kind of the point. If we can't do anything, this is just going to happen. Because who in their right mind would give up such an opportunity?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So how do you plan on talking to this Miss La Vista?
Through gaining some information, we know that almost every day, she has to ride the light rail tracks in a private car. We figure out a spot where she's going to be and inform a little high-speed infiltration. Guard resistance will be at a minimum given the smaller size. And that way we can get her alone.
An interesting thought. Cypher pipes up. And I'm guessing you have an in on this.
I do.
All right. Where do we come in? If at all, in your plan.
Simply put, getting this information from her will probably get us a little bit closer to figuring out why our rogue element. Not only that, it may also reveal if she has any thoughts as to whether he's in the city or not. Because again, he's taken something powerful. He'd be looking to do the most he can with it before he's inevitably hunted down because he knows he's a man. Why wouldn't you take the chance when there are so many nobles and other powerful individuals all conglomerated?
What would be his motive to do that, though? Why would he attack the people who created him?
From what we saw, he didn't seem to be following the orders of,
He was a rogue element long before he attacked you. Back when we found him in the volcano, he was already off the deep end.
Imbrel here considered AWOL because, the, Imbrel brought him in, and, he seemed to have just disappeared from the unit he's supposed to be with. Imbrel's concern for him led him to following him to where we found him in the mountain.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, he doesn't stand to gain anything, I don't think, from attacking those at the gala. He seemed more concerned with finding Mother. Whatever Mother is.
But who better to know Mother, the people who created him?
He would have more questions for them than actually have a motive to destroy them.
But
Yeah, but you would have them all in one place to entrap them on situation.
Oh, I didn't
Answer
say that
question.
entrapment wasn't off the table. I would say that he'd rather probably not destroy them if they have answers to his questions. I think an attack is a bit of a stretch.
But along those lines, and more to the point of your question, potentially that answer can be found a bit farther north. What was the city? I don't remember.
The training facility in
I forget the city
Something.
name too. Give me a second. That is Drakefast.
Okay. Sharing that with Cypher and Celtic. Assuming Imbroar knows that this is where they're being made trained.
Yeah, that is the training grounds. It's the really the primary headquarters of the military bases. There's military bases here in Colcaster, of course, but primarily the main sort of orders come down from the generals there.
Central command would be outside of the city, obviously, so that if the city ever came under attack by a foreign power, you would still have a military, a central command to work with. Pretty simple stuff.
Yeah.
But this means to me that if they're being shipped out somewhere to be augmented, they would be getting shipped out from the training grounds.
The training grounds is where the augmentation happens.
Yeah.
Then
That's what it is.
That's where the ritual, whatever ritual did this, and he holds up his arm, he's got the scars kind of all the way down it.
Then knowing exactly what they're doing is really a good idea. Well, we have a week. Because obviously we want all this information, ability on it before the anniversary gala in case he does show up there.
Cypher then speaks up, well, I think it stands to reason that Embrel and myself and Selter will stay here and search for Caleb. If we find word of him, then we will do something about him then and there, possibly. At least send you word. But that does free you all up to do whatever it is you please.
I think we may attempt to take that week and investigate training grounds.
Go out to the training grounds and investigate, and I would also agree that using that information, additional leverage required. Again, we want to talk to at least one of these councilmen, learn, and Madame La Vista, she's going to be the easiest to access.
Given what we know and access, potentially the easy for us to gain such access to.
Something in your mind?
A wacky thought.
Well, it's
Time
not.
will
It's not wackier than any of the political machinations going on that we're talking about this very moment. So go ahead.
I was just thinking you can go as my emissaries. As if I recall, I think my name still would have weight in the political spectrum of the Shadowhauer, even though they're not an empire anymore. So,
To the training facilities, is that it?
well, we've done a lot of business together, and I think that the Shadowhauer might be looking at, I don't know, using some training grounds.
Well, that would be easier than sneaking in.
That
You
would
want-
make things.
Have you never wondered why I dress like this?
I just
Vaguely.
assumed it was a fashion statement for you.
I simply figured as a scholar on Shadowhari history, you preferred their style of dress.
I do, but I am also from Shadowhar. It's a long time ago, but maybe some things have weight still. If I present you with a formal letter,
One
Sure,
of
I
these
could cook
days,
one
you
up.
and I are going to sit down, and I'm going to ask you so many questions about your past.
We have a list.
and frankly,
We meet.
sadly, I have very little time to answer questions back to back often enough. But given the circumstance that I'm in currently, I have no means
Additional time in your hands.
by which to leave. Yes.
So,
Oh, you.
I'm going to make a suggestion to you. And
You-
I don't know if it's one that you've thought of before, but I think it's very important. And Cast just turns to me and says, "For the love of everything that is good and pure in this world, write a memoir."
I've been meaning to. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Well, no time like the present to start. It's not like you can go anywhere by your own admission.
I've heard
Exactly.
that some magicians have access to pens that just automatically write their thoughts and words.
Autoquill.
Yes. Excellent idea. I shall have to go pick one up today.
Yes, you can go to Wishbone. I'm sure they'll have one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they'll have several models. You can even pick and test while you're there.
It's very strange speaking to you. It's as if you are magically smarter than you have been this entire time when in my presence.
No, I just hear the words that you... and they click into it. Just in a different order.
Yes. Well, we shall continue our search for Caleb. You all make your way to Drakefest. And, of course, report back.
Of course. And we won't be leaving without that letter from you.
Yes, yes. I will draft.
So we've got.
I will also draft that tonight.
So that's at least one day before we can do it.
Well, I should be able to pick up those goods within several moments or hours. Meet back at the Tumbled Wench.
Of course.
All right.
Mine is in Borough.
Ah, yes.
If there's somewhere else that we could meet, if we need to include you,
I've got my own accommodations. They're not the ritziest place in the world. You'd probably sooner find me in the slums.
I care not for what the accommodations look like, smell like, or where they're located. You are all that I'm with. However, more out of respect and love for your sister than for you.
You don't have to like me, Lagon.
I like you well enough.
Well enough not to
You've
kill
got-
me.
Yes.
Yes.
That's about as much as I could hope for.
Kinda like the new one over here. Like a fungus, you're starting to grow on me.
Well, we'll get back to it, Cypher says. See you in a week.
See you in a week.
Alright. And Imbrel, Selter, and Cypher do start making their way out of the park towards somewhere else in the city.
You know what we could do while we're here, and given we have a day?
What?
We're in one of the biggest cities in the country, and I need a new sword.
You need a new sword. Are we going shopping?
A little bit. I mean, I figure if we're gonna pick up supplies, it may as well
Yeah.
now. We have the free time. We're probably going to get ourselves into very, very deep stuff in the next few days. We have time to prepare. We should take it.
If you haven't been paying attention, we tend to live in the very deep stuff.
Yeah,
I
but
think
we
you
know
pointed
it.
that out to us already.
Yeah, but I mean, we have a chance where we're not in the deep stuff right now, but we know we're going to be in the next 72 hours. So
Yeah.
Prepare.
Yep. Discretion is the
Hope for the
better part of
best.
valor.
Hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm planning for several political assassinations and a full-on attack on the capital.
I'm
Please do not jinx that. That is the last thing we fucking need.
Oh, you don't say!
Alira over here seems to be face palming.
I believe she just excused herself from the group.
But yes, I think shopping is a good idea. Doing some preparation. I mean, as I said, we're in literally one of the biggest cities with probably the most access to magical items we're gonna have for a long time.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
And at least halfway decent prices this time around.
Hmm.
Yeah, because
At
it's
least one.
direct from manufacturer, so.
So if we have any issues, we can take it up directly with.
Yeah, if we buy a magical sword and I try it and it's bad, I can say it to Madame LaVista's face directly.
I don't recommend that. I would just taking it back to where you bought it first. She's not a pleasant one to deal with, at least in my experience.
Okay, so you're going shopping.
Yep.
Well, let's see. Let's see what we can find here. So, okay. I have some things that I think might be of use to you. So, you're going to one of the stores in the city of Colcaster to pick up some things. I will give you all a list of items that are available in this store, and you all can spend the appropriate gold for them over the off week, and we will come back with this this adventure when you guys are headed over to Drakefast. So I will post the link in our Discord, and then you will tell me what you're going to purchase, and we will pick up there next time with your items purchased and your heist in full preparation. But that's where we're calling it for tonight. So thank you guys very much for playing.
Coffee, I'm just going to apologize now.
Why?
He
You
gave
see-
Gavin ideas.
See, the problem is that my brain did the pineapple pen thing,
Uh-huh.
and I may have accidentally got lethality onto a train of thought. Pardon the pun. That just ended this entire mission statement in one go.
Yeah.
It happened.
He gave lethality ideas.
Ideas are brewing.
This is why I'm not allowed.
done. To be fair, Kaz may not figure it out because he's not that smart. He's only a 13 intelligence. However,
He
if
seems to get
someone
smarter with
points-
Cypher in the room.
Well, that's what happens with high wisdom characters. Is because they intuitively understand things. It's not logic, right? It's not learnedness. It's
Yes.
they get given a bunch of super complex pieces and they just see how the pattern fits together. Which is why he gets smarter when there are smarter people in the room. Because he's just taking the pieces they're giving him, but rearranging them and being like, how about this?
To be fair, this whole party is basically high wisdom, so
Yeah.
lots of insight and perceptibility going on with this whole party.
Which that's why Kaz is figuring out all this stuff. It's like, do I know how it works from a logical like from a standpoint of like the mechanics?
No.
God no. Do I know that it works because these pieces fit in this direction and that kind of through line says it works? Yes. So he may not figure it out, but if he does,
I don't need to understand the math behind mass times velocity to understand big thing coming really quickly is bad.
yeah, exactly. I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't need mass times speed to say mass divide distance. Oh, I got it fucked up. Yeah, mass times speed. Yeah, mass times velocity.
Mostly,
I'm meant to be the physicist.
mostly to illustrate the point already. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we'll pick up next time, because I have randomly rolled some loot, and I will tell you that is in the store, and then how much gold each piece will be. Very, very similar to the lists that I have put on Roll20 for previous shops that you've been to. But yeah, welcome to the other side of the world. You have transversed into the other hemisphere. This side of the world.
Can't wait until Vex comes back and I get to tell them.
Nope. I'm not adding to this.
Not
Not adding to this.
You should.
Have,
Should.
we off of each
I've
other.
already gone past the point of no return.
Feed me more.
Yeah. I just love the look on Gavin's face at the time after we were ready and went, wait a second. Oh, God. I'm like, no, Gavin. Yeah. No.
But with that being said, with our conclusion for the game for tonight, you all get your 5 points of experience for showing up. Woo!
Okay.
You also are gonna get, I'll say 3 points of experience for working towards your objective. And then we talk about roleplay prompts, which, if, yes, there is a poll already started for who is the favorite amongst the audiences of the 4 players that I have with me today, but that also means that my players also get to determine who among them performed well in the roleplay portions of our game. So, first roleplay prompt to prompt experience is who moved our plot.
Oh, we gotta give it to the Dragonborn.
Cause.
Cause, okay. That's a unanimous for
Thank
Cause.
you kindly.
Best scene.
Look on.
A Lyra turning into a pug. And then, yeah,
That was funny. That was funny,
I'll
for
give
sure.
it
Funny, but I
That
wouldn't.
one.
It was funny, but I wouldn't put it as best scene. I would argue Lagon had probably a lot more depth to play with and far more potency into what the situation is.
okay. I can see that. I'm just saying that one stuck with me, and for the hilarity of it.
Pug party.
Buddy. No! No!
Yes, we all know the
killed
meme.
him.
We all know the
Why?
meme. Yep. Well, what do you think, Raven?
I'll have to give it to Lyra for that one. Just the pug.
I don't know. It's just trying to think of like what would be like just a common animal that like
You can see in the
hasn't seen
city
anything
streets.
above sea, and nobody really stops to end up considering that this is actually an option.
Butt fugly pug.
Mm?
Butt pugly, as we call it.
Yeah.
Black Wolf says in the chat, we just is dead and we killed them.
We did!
We did!
in fact do that.
At least 2 people on this panel did.
Derek Coffey and I did
3.
that.
Yep. 3 of us. But what do you think, Lethality? Who gets it?
I'll go with the Lyra. The
Lyra.
pug was very funny.
Pug.
It was really good.
The pug is funny. Yep.
Especially the meow.
Lyra does not fully understand the animals.
Nope.
It's just on observation.
These surface animals are weird.
Bring the color
Our
orange,
best
you start purring.
Our best line.
I would
So
have to,
extortion. No, I wouldn't say that. So extortion with plausible deniability.
So extortion, got it. That's a line from Selter from me though.
I'm gonna put my hat in the ring for Vanya. You didn't tell us, like, you didn't think it would be a good idea to mention that Madame La Vista had a daughter in the city? Just him like, what the fuck do you mean?
I was gonna say Vanya for that. Or it's just one.
Yeah, are you sure it's just one? That's really good too. Oh, they're both good. Mojo, Derek, what are we thinking?
Yeah, sounds good to me. I'm not particularly picky one way or another. Honestly, Coffee Cat won best line for me this entire night.
Yeah,
So extortion, got
When I
it.
ended up
Got
putting
it.
together, it's like I know this personality, and then as soon as I figured it out, it's like I have to point this out. I have to point this out to somebody who might actually understand the joke.
Pointed it out to me, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
You're right. Her daughter is basically just Blanche Williams Flynn.
Yep.
That's a deep cut. Not everyone's gonna get it.
I know. That's what made me die a little inside. Like, oh my god! Oh, I'm on the other side of it.
What you
Well,
were gonna say, Mojo?
I said I was going to throw Lagan in for, and now it's gone. It just left my brain.
Oh, I could throw Lagan's hat in the ring for his little spiel on the I can make 8 of these. His mad scientist spiel, I could give it to him for that.
That I think that's where I was going with it, but I honestly cannot remember right now. The migraine just suddenly got so intense that all thoughts are gone.
head empty. Yep. Well, Alira got the audience favorite for tonight.
Why?
Pug party.
Because they love you.
First
They
time.
really love you and your pug party.
But for best line right now, it looks like it's tied because Derek didn't really put his foot down one way or the other. So it was tied between Vanya and Kaz, I believe.
I'll give it to Vanya.
Okay,
Yep. Okay. So
All
Vanya
right.
can have it.
Vanya it is.
Thank you.
Well,
I'll note,
oh no.
just as a very quick ding!
Yay.
Level 10!
Woohoo!
Yeah, when I said I was right there, I said I was
You're like
I
1
was
point away or
right
something
there.
like that, yeah.
No, I was 8 points away, so
Oh.
5
Oh.
plus 3 for the
Yeah,
8
the
was...
basic speed just got you there.
Yeah,
Yep,
and
yep.
so I'm 1 XP to level 11.
Yay!
I'm also now
22 away from 11.
I am also now immune to disease and poison. I'm tougher, like quite a bit tougher. I'm now at 95 hit points.
Ooh, nice.
And I'm 5 feet faster.
Ooh.
So, I believe the
That's a scary
party,
thought.
other than Alira, will be level 10 next game.
Okay. Nice. Yep. And that's perfectly fine. I kind of expected that there would be a little bit of a level gap between some of the characters, but that's perfectly fine. I'm not worried about it. So some of y'all being a level 10 while some of you are level 11, it's not a big deal to me. So
I mean, it's also definitely not bad. Like the other time that sucks is if you're behind the curve.
like
You're
way
about to
behind the
hit
curve. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're behind the curve. You're waiting to hit a level threshold for the next level of spells. So like 11, 13, 17, etc.
Yeah.
And you're a caster.
But yeah, that does it for Rebirth. We are concluding the episode for tonight.
Right.
Let's find somebody to raid, and we'll continue on from there. But thank you all, my cast members, for playing this lovely game. And as well, we will be back on Wednesday also for more of the Blood and Iron vampire game, which my cast members for that are eager to get back to it too. So needless to say, we have missed you guys while I was on vacation. And yeah. So good night, everybody.
Nice.